And I just see this amazing display of color out here. And I want to say that for me that's unusual in this school because when I was here, I had to dress with a gray wool blazer, gray skirt, gray socks, white shirt, and brown shoes that had flaps and they tied up. Very sensible. So I really like how eclectic you are today. That's great. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here with my husband, Tom, who did the driving. Thank you, Tom. We came down yesterday from Maine, which is where we live. And I want to just put the first slide on because I'll show you where I was walking just the day before I came down in a very special place. This is the Rachel Carson National Wildlife Refuge in Wells, Maine. Have any of you been to Maine? All right. Okay. My goodness, that's a lot of people. So you know that we have great natural beauty in Maine. We have a very, very long coastline, some 2,000 miles. And there are a lot of estuaries along our coastline, and this is one of them. And early on in our Toms of Maine philanthropy, we helped to preserve the land in this area. At Oxford, actually, I had some very good examples, some models of women who worked and women who were inspired teachers, particularly Mrs. Forbes and Mrs. Brown, who was the biology teacher. So I believed when I went to work in our company in full citizenship for women in business, in the working world. But it's hard for women because they need help. And men need help too. In 1970, it was hard to buck the system. Business was not meant to be environmentally sensitive and financially sustainable as well as socially responsible. But we decided that was what our values were. And now more and more companies are doing that, and we're glad for that. I spent a long time in the business world, and before that I was a paralegal. I raised 5 children, but all the time I wanted to be making things with my hands. So I believe in creativity. This is another belief I hold, that creativity is essential for a fulfilling life, and that the work of the hand, when you think about it, is an important part of a vibrant culture. So all the things we do with our hands, we make art, we play music, we make wonderful food from hopefully local ingredients, and we are there expressing ourselves to the world with our hands. This piece is called Armistice, and it was at the New Britain Museum of Art show in New Britain, Connecticut, just nearby. I made it in memory of my grandfather who fought in World War I. You know that World War I was the war to stop all wars. And there was an armistice that said that, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. So these pieces are made of collagraphed paper. The arrowheads and then the tails are made from found reeds. This installation was also in the New Britain show called Go Inside the Stone. It's based on a poem by Charles Simic of the same title. And the stones there are from Monhegan Island and from the beach in Kennebunk. And the strips are also printed on the press. Mylar collars that I made. When you walk by this piece, it shakes because of the air currents, and you get a lot of reflections that make it look like the stones are floating in water. This is a series called Wintering Over, collage that was in the Portland Museum show. I did a series of these of about 25 different ones. So they're prints, but they're collages also. So I tear them up and have a whole bunch of ingredients to work with. This one has pen and ink on it as well. Another collograph, that was described in the DVD, where you use gesso and build it up on the plate. Then you seal the plate with shellac or matte medium, and then you're able to wipe it, ink it, and wipe it also like an etching. But they're raised surfaces, so it embosses the paper. What happened, though, was even though we had uniforms and conformity was somewhat expected on the outside, in our classrooms, we were really expected to think critically and independently. The arts were fully supported. And I found teachers who affirmed me as an artist and the writer that I am today. The education I received here was an excellent foundation for lifelong learning, and I haven't stopped going to school. I love taking classes, doing workshops, learning new things, and I hope that you will do that too.